Ah, kia ora koutou, malo lele, no mai haere mai ki tamaki paengi. Welcome to Auckland Museum online. My name is Tom. My friends sometimes call me Tectonic Tom as well, so you can call me whichever one you like. And welcome to our second Treasures and Tales. I hope you had a good time last week. And just letting you know, we're going to be continuing Treasures and Tales throughout the upcoming weeks too. We will be recording this session today, and we're going to be putting it onto the Museum at Home webpage. Okay, so afterwards, if you want to see this again, then you can go there, and also there'll be lots of other activities for you to do too. During today's session, this is an opportunity for you to ask me questions. So in the comment box, you're welcome to ask me any questions. I'll get to them at the end. I'm going to bring in my friend Active Ari, who's going to help me answer some of the questions. I won't be able to get through all your questions today, but afterwards, today and tomorrow, Ari and I will be going through your comments and your questions, and we'll be answering as many as we can. All right, are you ready? Let's crack on with the show. So we may know volcanoes are incredibly destructive forces of nature. But do you know what? They're also essential to life on Earth. And to get a good understanding of this, why don't we travel back 4 billion years ago to when the Earth was forming? The Earth 4 billion years ago looked like a huge ball of lava. Okay, and over time, that big ball of lava started to solidify around the outside and created the Earth's crust. And we still have that today. When we walk outside, we walk on the crust. Underneath of the crust, though, there's a whole bunch of magma swirling around. And over time, the Earth needs to relieve some of the pressure that builds up. And that pressure comes out through volcanoes. 4 billion years ago, when volcanoes were erupting, all the gases they made created our atmosphere, okay, and also helped create our oceans, which is the source of life. All right, so thanks volcanoes for creating life for us. I've got this image here of Mauna Loa, which is in Hawaii. And Mauna Loa is what I think of when I see the word volcano. I think of this great volcano that is active. Now, I've got a really cool hand action for the way that I say active, and I do it just like this, active. Would you all want to do that with me at home? So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, active. Awesome. So an active volcano is one that is spewing out all this lava, okay, and all the ash and rocks and poisonous, stinky gases as well. I've got the picture of Mauna Loa, which is quite far away from us, because it's one of very few volcanoes that actually you can see lava dribbling out of the volcano. So I'm going to change the picture to another one that is a little bit closer to home, and that is this volcano here, okay? And if you haven't guessed it yet, this is Rangitoto Island. So Rangitoto is in Auckland, and I'll tell you a couple of facts about it. It is Auckland's largest volcano. It is also Auckland's youngest volcano as well. In fact, it's the youngest volcano across Aotearoa. So when I say it's a young volcano, it's not 1 or 2 years old, okay? It's actually 600 years young, and it is a very young volcano. You might be thinking, hang on, Tom, 600 years is so old. Well, maybe to us humans, yeah, it is very old. But when we think about the Earth, when we think about Papatuanuku, think about the universe, 600 years is very young, okay? So we call Rangitoto our big, young baby volcano. Do we have any other volcanoes across Auckland? Absolutely. There are so many. Okay, we'll be focusing on Auckland just for a little bit here. So if you look at the picture to your left, this is a map of Auckland City. And I'll give you an orientation. So my mouse is going to go to the Sky Tower. That's where the Sky Tower is. The Harbour Bridge crosses the Waitemata Harbour here. And all the way in the corner is Rangitoto Island. So Rangitoto has a big red dot in the middle of it. The red dot represents a volcanic cone and crater. So it's a volcano. And you can see that Auckland is completely covered in volcanoes. Let's talk about that for a little bit by looking at the questions to your right. Okay, so there are 5 questions here. And you see the green bar down the bottom. I'm going to let that go. By the time it gets to the end, I'm going to go through some of the answers. So think about how many volcanoes do we have in Auckland? Are any of these active like Mauna Loa or the big volcano that's behind me on this side? What's the closest volcano to you? Why would we build a city here on top of all these volcanoes? And do you think we could get any more eruptions in the future? Okay, so if you guessed, or if you know this already, 53 volcanoes in the Auckland's volcanic field, you are absolutely correct. All right, so we've got 53 volcanoes in the city of 1.5 million people. Are any of those 53 volcanoes active? Any of them spewing out lava or ash or rocks? Absolutely not. So luckily for us, none of them are active and pose no volcanic threat at this time. Okay, we've got enough to deal with, right? What's your closest volcano? A bit of a trick question here. I have no idea. I don't know where you live, but I can tell you that my closest volcano is Mongafo, Mount Eden. All right, so I love to climb Mongafo every now and then. It's such a good opportunity for me to connect with my community, to connect with the ground that I live on as well. So volcanoes are really important in our communities. Why would we build a big city on top of 53 volcanoes? Here's why. So all these volcanoes have given us volcanic fertile soil for us to be able to grow plants and food, okay? A height advantage. All right, so if you live near a volcano or if you're living on top of a volcano, you know exactly what everybody is doing around you, okay? And we also have 2 harbors that give us lots of kaimoana, seafood, okay? So it's an attractive place for Māori to settle, an attractive place for Europeans to settle, and now here we are, okay? And the next question is quite chilling. Can we get any more eruptions? Can we get a 54th volcano? Yes, we can, okay? In fact, scientists say, yeah, it's probably gonna happen, but they don't know where and they don't know when. But luckily for us, we'll get lots of warning before that happens. Okay, so nothing to worry about too much there. Okay, we're gonna move on a little bit and we're gonna figure out how these volcanoes erupt, okay? We're gonna look at 3 different eruption styles, okay, types of eruptions, and 5 different rocks that these eruption types make. So the first eruption type is called, I hope you can see this, it's called an explosive eruption. Have a look at this animation. All right, so explosive eruptions happen when magma touches water, okay? There's heaps of pressure coming up from the ground, and then all that pressure from the steam adds to it, and it creates a huge, violent, explosive eruption. These are extremely dangerous and would look a lot more dangerous than what we can show you in this animation. Look at all this lava that is coming up from the ground and will be creating an island. Okay, so volcanoes such as Rangitoto Island, the Hawaiian Islands, Whakaari, White Island, came from explosive eruptions. Okay, so heaps of rock is formed during this process, and I'm going to show you two different kinds. The first kind is this one. Look, our friend the green bar is back. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think of the name. Usually it is white, okay? It's really light. It starts with a P and it rhymes with the word hummus. It is called pumice, or tahoata, that's right. So pumice normally looks white, but it can also be dark, like in this picture here. And pumice comes from really frothy and bubbly lava. Okay, so when that frothy, bubbly lava solidifies, it turns into rock, it leaves all of these air holes and pockets throughout it, which means it's extremely light and it can float on water. So you can find lots of pumice around beaches. So people use pumice for a number of reasons. In their gardening, people use it to scrub their pots clean. I also found this piece of pumice in my bathroom. So this pumice is quite white, and you can see how bubbly and holy it is. And my flatmate, she loves to scrub the dead skin off her feet using this piece of pumice. Ew. I didn't think that one through. Okay, ready for the next rock. It looks completely different, but it still comes from that explosive eruption. Here you go. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Maybe you know this rock already. Starts with the letter O. And if you've played a game called Minecraft, I'm pretty sure you know what this will be. This is called Obsidian, tuhua. Okay, so obsidian is also known as volcanic glass. Okay, so if you have played a game called Minecraft, you know that lava and water, when they mix, you can get obsidian, just like in real life. That's true. Everything else about obsidian in Minecraft is a lie, okay? So obsidian is, as I said, glass. So if I took this piece of obsidian and I threw it down onto the ground, it would break and shatter into all sorts of little tiny pieces, okay? And they will be really sharp. So those tiny sharp pieces of obsidian were really useful for early Māori when they were needed to cut things or using fine blades for example, cutting meat. So obsidian was really useful in that way. All right, let's look at another type of eruption. This animation here, it is called a fire fountain eruption. This is my favorite because look, it's a fountain of fire or lava. All right, so all that pressure from the ground is pushing all that magma up and it's fountaining out. And that lava is piling on top of itself and creating a really big volcanic cone, like the one behind me, okay, and like the volcano that's in our animation here. You'll see that there are some rocks flying out of the animation right now. We'll get to those rocks in just a moment. Okay, so if you've walked up some volcanoes anywhere, really, you'll be walking on top of a fire fountain eruption, okay? That happened a long time ago, not today. Here is one of the rocks to come from a fire fountain eruption. Again, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. This rock is quite red, as we see in this picture. Starts with an S. It's kind of a harsh sounding word. Sounds like what it'll be like if you fell on top of it, right? It hurts. This rock is called Scooria, Rangitoto. All right, so Scooria, if you've climbed up a volcano in Auckland or even across the country, you'll be walking on top of a lot of scoria. You'd normally see it in little tiny pieces as well. Okay, this rock is red or orangey color because it has a lot of iron inside of it. Okay, so that iron is sort of like rust. So this means this rock is really good at maintaining heat and keeping heat in. So we use this rock, it's really commonly used as a hangi stone for cooking food underground. So that's scoria. And do you remember those rocks that were flying out the top of the volcano in the animation? That is what this one is here. So it's got two words to this name. Okay, one of the words is lava. The other word is something that flies in the air. No, it's not a bird. It's called a lava bomb. Okay, pahu tokorewa. So lava bombs are when there's some sticky lava in the volcanic crater that gets pushed out the top, okay? And that lava would twist and turn in the middle of the air, forming all of these cool shapes, and it turns into lots of different sizes as well. And then as it's flying in the air, it solidifies and turns into a rock pretty quickly, and then it would drop into the ground like a bomb. But it doesn't explode whatsoever, okay? In volcanic language, the word bomb just means flying in the air. This lava bomb here has a type of name, okay? And I'm pretty sure it is called a cowpat lava bomb. All right, it's called a cowpat lava bomb because it was still liquid as it was dropping onto the ground, and it sort of splats and it looks like a cowpat. Okay, so we had lava bomb, and then there was scoria. They come from fire fountain eruptions. Let's look at the last volcanic eruption. It is called a lava flow. So this happens towards the end of a volcanic eruption. Okay, there's less pressure, but lava is still needing to escape and to get out. So here it's coming out through a side vent, and then the lava flows and oozes down the landscape for as far as it can go, okay, before it dries up and turns into rock. All right, so lava flows have been really common in all of Auckland's volcanic eruptions, most of them. All right, well, just an ad break. Shout out to EQC. Thank you so much for funding us for our volcano education. All right, so lava flows do turn into one particular kind of rock, which I will just change the screen now to this rock here. 10 seconds starts now. This rock is also in Minecraft. It starts with a B. You've probably seen it all over town. This rock is called basalt, onewa. All right, so lava flows turn into basalt, okay? So basalt is the rock. When you go walking around the city, you'll see curbsides made of basalt, you'll see walls made of basalt, churches, buildings are made of basalt as well. That's because when Europeans arrived to Auckland, they found that it was a lot easier to take basalt than to bring things over from Europe. So they took a lot of basalt and scoria and started building with them. And they even took away a few volcanoes themselves. So we don't do that anymore. We don't allow a lot of basalt quarrying anymore. Okay, so that about takes us to the end of our treasures and tales for today. There's still a lot of time for questions, so stick around. Active Ari, are you there?
Hello, everyone. I am.
It's nice to see you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm having an active time in lockdown, as
That's
my
so
name
great to hear.
suggests. Yeah.
All right, we've got quite a few questions here that have been sent to me. So, Ari, I've been talking for 20 minutes non-stop. So how would you like to answer the first question?
I can definitely do that.
Awesome.
Let's see what. Oh, here's a really good question. The first one right off the bat is, how hot is lava? Now, lava is pretty hot, absolutely. It's coming out of a volcano, so it has to be really hot. In fact, it's 1,200 degrees, so 1,200 degrees Celsius, which is about 10 times as hot as your oven at home can go. So it's very, very hot because it's liquid rock, so it has to be super duper hot. Yeah.
Very good. I've got a question here. Okay, this is from Ben. How long does it take for lava to go hard and be rock? Okay, so how long does it take for magma or lava to cool down into rock? And that answer is, it depends. Okay, so it depends how thick the lava is. The lava underneath of Auckland is actually quite runny. So it seems more like water, okay? And so that means it'll cool down a lot quicker than lava from, say, Mount Ruapehu that would turn into rock a lot slower.
Interesting. Oh, here's a cool question. Is Auckland a part of the Ring of Fire? Absolutely it is. It is a part of the Ring of Fire. For the people that don't know about the Ring of Fire, it's basically a chain of volcano and volcanic activity that stretches all around the Pacific tectonic plate, which includes countries like Japan and Alaska and even Argentina and South America. So we, right at the bottom of the circle of fire, the Ring of Fire, are definitely part of it, and also explains why we have so many volcanoes as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Another interesting question here is, what happens if a volcano destroys Auckland? Bit of a tough question. So we can't predict what the next volcanic eruption would look like, but we know all of our volcanoes that have erupted in Auckland have not been big enough to destroy a city. So we think that if a volcano was to erupt, about a 5-kilometer radius around the volcano might be affected. So just the people living in that area would have to evacuate. All right, this is just based off what we've seen in the past. But our volcanoes are smaller than, say, the volcano that's behind me. I think that's Mount Etna. It's pretty big. Hey, we won't see anything like this in Auckland, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Mount Etna is what we would call an active volcano. And we have a question here from Liam that asks, how does a volcano change from being dormant to active? Great question, right? So an active volcano is a volcano that has things actively coming out of it. So you got lava, you got smoke, got flying rocks and lava bombs. So once a volcano stops having things come out of it, that's what you call it as a dormant volcano, because it's no longer active. So a dormant volcano can be however old it needs to be, and then once it becomes active again, that's when things are coming out of it again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Someone here has asked me, can you explain a lahar? Okay. So a lahar is, let's say, is like a lake, right? So a lahar is a lake at the top of a volcano. Maybe the crater's filled up with water, okay, or somewhere near the volcanoes at the top has filled up with water. And it's when the side of that lake breaks off, okay, and all that water spills out and down the volcano. And on the way, it picks up a whole lot of mud and a lot of debris, which can make lahars extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Ooh, here's a really cool question. What's the biggest volcano? Now, this is something I didn't even know for a really long time. And then recently I found out it's actually not even a volcano that's above land. It's an underwater volcano. And it's just off of the coast of Japan called Tamu Massif. And just like in the name, massive would describe that it is quite indeed massive. It's about 1,600 kilometers in diameter. It's really, really big. But extinct because it's really old. It's older than 10,000 years. But the largest volcano on Earth at the moment is Tamu Massif. We haven't found anything bigger than that.
Yeah, I can also add the biggest active volcano at the moment is Mauna Loa from Hawaii. Okay, maybe one more question here is there a warning before a volcano? And that answer is, yeah. As magma travels through the Earth's crust, it's pushing all of that rock apart. And when the ground is moving, we call it an earthquake, and we can track where these earthquakes are as the magma is pushing through the Earth. So luckily for us, we can track these earthquakes and we know when a volcano is going to erupt. Okay, So I think we might leave it there. If we haven't got round to all of your questions, don't worry. Ari and I will still be online. We'll probably be answering some of your questions as well today and tomorrow, because I can see that there are a lot of questions. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us in this Treasures and Tales of Volcanoes. Don't forget that we have more to come in the future. Check out our Auckland Museum at home page, where there's lots of volcanic activities and heaps on dinosaurs and lots of other things for kids too. So make sure to stay tuned. But until now, thank you so much. I hope you have a really great rest of your day. And ka kite anō.
Bye, everyone.